And that's what we're going to talk about today when we show you our customer success platform. I'm aiming to help you walk away with a compelling why customer success is good for your success and your client success. That's kind of the quotes we just talked about. And then I also want to show you how our platform will let you segment your customer base, define value, effort, and health metrics, track your stack, right? Everybody's interested in stack alignment and how to get data around insights for that stack alignment or opportunity, and how to set goals during your business reviews. So I have a couple slides before we dig in so you can get an overview of where we're looking at, and then I'll actually click through and show you what that looks like. If you have questions along the way, Alex gave you permission to chat, and then I always say I'm Italian, so I don't consider it interrupting, I consider it participating. So we'd love to hear lots of questions as you have them. So I was at an industry event and I listened to Paul Dipple, who had two thoughts, actually had many thoughts, but he distilled it down to looking at kind of operational maturity, and that there are two key drivers and therefore valuation in operational maturity and valuation for MSPs. And the first one is, what percentage of your clients are purchasing your full stack? They are buying all of your services. And the second one is, are you doing Qbrs quarterly for all your clients? Now, with that second one, we need to be careful, because if you've got clients paying $3,000 a month versus clients paying $30,000 a month, they don't all need the same thing quarterly, but they probably do need to be communicated with quarterly, because to which all of the fours in the chat put, if you're silent, there's risks to the relationship. So there are ways that you can send newsletters, right? You can give them access into Lifecycle Insights so they can see their data. You can ship emails, right? That's what account managers do, is build that relationship, which is different than having a full-blown 3-hour business review. And so part of what we want to talk about is what is an appropriate segment for your clients to build a business review, and what does that look like for you? So that's part of what our customer success module will allow you to do. So when we talk about customer segments, this is what we're aiming for. I'll show you how we get here, but just at a high level, we're going to help you map MRR value versus effort. Let's say ticket count. And if you knew all of your high value, high effort clients that land in that top right quadrant, those are your money makers, right? And those are the ones that you spend a good bit of your time on, because they are high value and high effort. They probably do deserve quarterly business reviews, and some of them might even deserve monthly. Bottom right, high value, low effort, probably your most profitable clients, probably your favorite, right? They're high value, but they don't take a lot of effort from you. But if you ignore them because they are low effort, if they churn, you'd be very sad, because that's a huge profit piece right there, right? So maybe you meet with them semi-annually, but you set a different cadence in place to have different types of interactions with them. Bottom left, low value, low effort. So if you think about these, you hardly ever talk to them. They don't bring in a ton of money. So why are you keeping them as clients? Well, they're very profitable because they're not taking a ton of effort, right? They can grow, and as their business grows, they can move to the right and up. But here, they might only get an annual face-to-face, or maybe even an annual Zoom type of meeting, Teams meeting. So here you want to think about what kind of cadence of what marketing materials can I remarket to my existing client base? Again, because if you're not talking to your clients, somebody else could be. So they still need to hear from you, even if it's not a full-blown QBR. And lastly, that top left quadrant, they are low value, high effort. So these have got to go. Now they can go right and pay you more money, right? You could renegotiate that contract. We could really take a good hard look at why they're high effort. Maybe they put in a lot of tickets because they've got aged assets, and you need to have a serious conversation with them about how their assets are causing their own problem. And maybe you can work through that so that they become lower effort. So they go to the bottom left quadrant. And if you've read the pumpkin plan, maybe there's some of the pumpkins that need plucking. Maybe they're not the right fit client, right? So that's what our customer segmentation portion of the platform will do. I mentioned stack alignment and opportunity. So in this part of the tool, we are going to look at identifying opportunity across your entire client base and your standards and best practices as to where opportunities might be. So if you look down the left-hand column, we've got all of the services that you might offer, and across the top, all of your clients. And I can see that Hogwarts has the most opportunity. So I might want to schedule that business review because they don't look well aligned to my standards. There's a lot of red in that column. And I can see the dollar amount. That's $6,600 of MRR if I could sell them into my full services. That seems well worth the call. What that looks like for an individual client is this, where I just mentioned alignment, opportunity. So I of course tried to highlight something on my screen and click the buttons. So highlighting here at the top, this client is 39% aligned to our stack. There's a $1,200 worth of monthly recurring revenue opportunity and a $3,400 project worth of opportunity. So, my question for you is, if you had these types of insights for your clients easily, how could you drive new business, right? Especially, it's interesting. And I just read today one of the, an article from a customer success guru who said expansion opportunity within your existing client base can drive 20%, 20 to 30% new revenue, right? If expansion money right within your client base in a down economy. So it's a good time to look at this. And as you're thinking about this, where are you storing this data right now? A lot of folks tell us that they've got it in a spreadsheet that they forget to update or don't completely update ever, or that they would love to track this, but they really don't have the opportunity because they've never had a consistent way to do it. So curious, feel free to chat us if you have means on which you are doing this, but that's the problem we're solving for in customer success. And lastly, I said we were going to talk about goals. So, how to talk about business outcomes for your clients and how they align to technology initiatives. So it is no question that IT business owners are consultants for the business, right? Technology is there to make businesses more productive, more profitable, more scalable, more supportable. And so if you can align your projects and recurring revenue services based on a business's goals, your customers' outcomes, it'll drive business for them and therefore for you. So that is the goal of the third piece of the customer success module. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the module. These are some of the questions that some of our partners ask as part of their business reviews to drive those goals. I forgot I'd put that in there. But before I dive in, any questions? We're going to look at three things. One, segmenting their client base. Two, the stack alignment opportunity. Three, the goals. So if you have priorities of that, feel free to chat us privately or put it right in the chat and we will dig in from there. Okay, so here we are from the VCIO part of the platform. As Alex has talked about, the VCIO part of the platform is the first place to start. Business reviews are the anchor of the relationship. So before we can drive the other conversations, we really need to start here. So for lifecycle insights, VCIO is our base, our core module, and you have to have that in order to have the customer success module. This is for a few reasons. One, the QBRs are really the basis for the conversation in that relationship. So that's the starting point. The other piece is so much of what you do in this platform helps build and create the automation for the customer success side of the platform. So you really want to dive in to the VCIO piece and make sure you have those components that he talked about, your budget roadmap with recommendations, your contracts, set up the scheduling cadence, all of those pieces that exist in the VCIO side so that we can automate the customer success side as much as possible. So that is why this is an add-on to our VCIO piece, and it can always be added later. So we recommend starting with VCIO and then adding the customer success. To access customer success, in the top left corner, I've got VCIO, and this is our module picker. I'm going to click on it and jump over to customer success. When I land in customer success, as my dashboard populates, we're going to see a few different pieces. The first should look very familiar, right? The customer segmentation piece that I talked about in the slide. I'm actually going to dig into that so you can see where the data comes from. But let's just look around at the rest of the dashboard before we do that. Here we've got customers by health. So we've got 28, happy, healthy, green customers. We've got 36 that needs attention and 12% that are at risk. So I point out these colors here because this is what is driving the coloring on the customer segmentation graph. We have a lot of flexibility around how you can choose health metrics to decide what makes a red client and what makes a green client. So a red client might be one at risk of churn, one that you are concerned about, right? The relationship isn't good. Maybe they have new leadership coming and a new CEO always brings in his favorite IT team, that type of thing. Or versus a green client that might be your referral and a great place to drive new business as a referral source. So that's where those colors come from. If I look at the right-hand side, these graphs are all about stack alignment and opportunity based on stack. I'm going to dig deeply into the reports on these, but you can see right out of the gate, I can hover over my non-recurring revenue opportunities. So I can see Creative Designs has some huge project opportunity for me. So I might want to go have a chat with them. Or my MRR opportunity. I can see that both Gecko Company and Hogwarts have some MRR opportunities that I might want to drive some additional business. And down below, you can see opportunity by service. So if I have discovery tools, backup tools, MFA, like right out of the gate, I just want to go get everybody into the MFA solution for security purposes and because it's going to drive some of my MRR. Same thing, we have opportunity breakout by tag and service in the bottom left. Before I leave this, I will mention one other piece. We see larger teams wanting to use customer success, not just to track opportunity, but also to look at opportunity by account manager. So if you look across the top, we always like to filter everything every which way from Tuesday, but I could filter this chart based on account manager. So let's see how Alex's accounts are doing, right? So I've now taken all of the data that we've got. We've filtered it by just Alex. Maybe he's a newer account manager and we've given him some of the smaller accounts, but he has gotten one high value, low effort client and they're green. So maybe, we can assign him more of those high value client targets. I can also segment this by vertical. So even if you don't have multiple account managers, you might be asking questions like, how are my law office accounts different than my dental offices, different than my storefronts? And so you can create unlimited number of account groups. So I could look at where are all of my restaurants along this. And you can filter the graph again by that to see if your restaurants are healthy. If they're driving good business, and really what types of things do I need to look at for my restaurants? Apparently they need email fish testing platforms, and that's where my opportunities are. So that's an overview of the main page, the main dashboard, and I'm going to dig into the customer detail next, so I can really look at how all of this data comes to be. We worked with 24 of our business partners in the beta testing of this to define how we would like to get these metrics in. And they started very manual. So they were entering all of this data one bit at a time. But now when I edit the profile, we're pretty excited that we can automate a lot of this data. And that's the power, of course, of any platform, is to go from manual entry to making it digital, where we're storing it in a spreadsheet, to automation, where you can get insights and they're always live. So here we are grabbing MRR by contracts. So you can see here, I've got based on contracts. So we're pulling contracts straight from Manage or Auto Task. So if those are your PSAs, we're grabbing them into VCIO already. And you can say, I want to include all the contracts for all my clients, or I want to exclude some. So what by default, we pull all of them over and exclude anything that's a Microsoft 365 license, because folks feel like that's not a profit maker, and that's kind of skewing the value of the client. But you have a lot of flexibility to adjust that on your own. So we're going to automate MRR value, and we are going to automate effort value. So we can automate effort by number of tickets or a few other pieces, but let's just assume we've chosen tickets. But you can also see we're pulling over information like number of employees, number of locations, etc. If any of those might define an effort metric, we can automate that. So that populates that customer segmentation graph. And you can see here that Creative Designs is in segment C. So they're the bottom left quadrant, and they're green, they're healthy. In this site, we've opted to have 4 different metrics that we want to count for customer health. So this is, how am I going to color my client as a happy, healthy client? You can add any number of metrics. Right out of the gate, we're pulling a default assessment over. So if you've got an assessment on the VCIO side of the house, that would, stack alignment is an indication of a customer health. We actually inverted. So if they were 97% aligned to my stack, that would be, they're 97% healthy, but on the metric score, they would be a low effort, only 3% effort, because they're probably easy to support. They're so aligned to your stack. We've got sentiment. So with sentiment, this is a manual score, right? So I can re-rate every time I talk to them and judge how I feel like the sentiment is. It's really important to understand how the account manager, how the MSP owner feels the relationship is, but you can't just base the whole decision around customer success based on that gut feel, right? You need to have other metrics. Similarly, it would be dangerous to assume that the customer satisfaction score on just a subset of tickets is the single thing to determine a customer health metric, because not everyone enters CSAT scores, and they're usually very angry or very happy when they do, right? So they kind of can skew them one way or the other, and you know that by the rate at which those numbers come in. One interesting piece is we are working on automating CSAT now. So there are 3 customer satisfaction tools that we're working on automating this quarter. That is Smileback, ConnectWise Manages Survey, and Autotasks Survey. We have a list of many others that we plan to get in the platform, but if any of those speak to you, they are already in progress. Lastly, we've opted to do a manual scoring of org score, and this is around, right, is the gatekeeper, is the project manager a gatekeeper that doesn't let us access to other people in the company? Is the owner potentially leaving or exiting that might make it a threat? Those are all things that could impact customer health. So if you've met Lifecycle Insights, Alex and I both talk quickly, so I'll pause. I'll take a sip of water if folks have questions before I move on to the health effort tab.
We had one question in chat. I answered it, but you might want to touch on just somebody asked, is revenue based on revenue or gross profit? For those who didn't catch that, revenue is typically based on revenue from certain agreements, but you can customize that as you see fit.
Yeah, yep. So as Alex said, we're pulling over the agreements and additions from Manage. They're called contracts and auto task, and you can select which of those you want to use toward MRR, but it is definitely revenue in that regard. Again, you can customize it if you've got it sorted out that way, or you can manually enter those as well. Clicking into effort is defined a lot like the health metrics. One of the things we do right out of the gate, if you want to automate this, and most of our folks start by just automating this, the segment graph by pulling over number of tickets. And you can grab number of tickets or number of tickets per seat. So because we've got the count for, number of seat licenses there are, some folks prefer that because that would, those large clients that put in 100 tickets, but if they've got 100 users, that's only 1 ticket per user versus a 3-user company that puts in 30 tickets. some other things that folks are using. We have quite a few that have started creating some effort and health assessments so that they can quickly score these inside of Lifecycle. So they're asking questions around effort, multiple locations, don't have a technology attitude that makes it easy for you to sell, right? They refuse to do asset lifecycle management. Whatever the issues are that make them heavy to support are the types of things that folks are using to score those effort metrics. We then average that and color it so it really highlights it, and then puts it on the graph, you know, where they land. Are they high effort or low effort? The next one I'm going to click into is stack alignment. So everything we've talked about so far is actually, before I click into stack alignment, the next thing I'm going to click into is the master customer segment graph. So everything we've talked about so far will automate this chart. We're going to grab all of your companies. We're going to grab your contract MRR. We're going to grab the effort, and we're going to color it based on a health score. And that populates this chart. There are lots of things you can do in here. You know, you can dive in and take a peek at any of the individual client data, and kind of get some hoverovers of where they stand based on your particular needs. Then I will dig into a particular stack alignment and we'll take a look. So when I go into stack alignment, there is some setup involved with this. So one of the first things you would do is define your stack. So you can see down the left-hand side, we have a whole list of services that you might offer. The very first thing you do is go and create, maybe it's called your standard stack. We have some clients that do the good, better, best version. We have many that do a standard and a gold, or a, you know, gold, bronze, silver, gold, premium, security stack. You define basically the packages that you're selling. If you're an all-you-can-eat model, then it can be called, you know, the Lifecycle way, whatever your company is way, my IT stack, and that can be, it's my way or the highway. And then you could add ancillary services for things like VoIP providers or printer copier services that not every company might get. So you define your stack, and then in an individual client, you look to see how they are aligned to your standards. So I'll say for creative designs, it is applicable. They need a firewall. It's checked. It's relevant to them. If I said, well, one thing they don't need, no one in the company has a phone. So I'm going to say MDM is not applicable. I could turn that off and it wouldn't be counted against them. But right now, all of these things are checked. They're applicable to the client. And then if you look, I can see, well, they've currently got Fortinet, but we would prefer them to have Barracuda. So that means that I will move this to, they are partially aligned to my services. They're partially aligned because they have something, but it's not the preferred piece. And I could actually probably drive another $1,450 per month if they purchased our services for Barracuda versus Fortinet, which they're not getting through you. So this alignment piece is where you're looking to see, are they fully aligned to my stack, right? They're using the service offering that we offer and they're buying it through us, versus partially aligned, right? They're partially protected, but it's not our preferred stack, or not aligned at all. We don't have any web filtering in place. We need to get them Bitdefender right now. Right? So you get to define all these pieces. And then again, this is manual. We're aiming to automate these pieces, but we certainly haven't found the magic button to make that automation easy. We're open to ideas. And you can also, if you have set up recommendations inside the VCIO, remember I said we use the VCIO piece to start because we're going to use it here. I could link an existing recommendation and say, oh, that doesn't have any dollar amounts attached. Let's do this. Let's grab that first one. When I do this, I can say, all right, we're going to solve this problem and add that MRR value and non-recurring revenue value based on the recommendation. So if you've already built the project recommendation that you would like to solve this alignment issue, you can just grab it right from the VCIO side of the house, or create a brand new recommendation. So if there was an email phishing recommendation and you wanted to offer Breach Secure Now, Know Before, Fin Security, any of those services, you could even pull from a predefined template and grab that recommendation to build it here into customer success. So once you have filled all of this out, that is where these numbers at the top are coming from, these last three tiles. The percent aligned they are to your stack, the MRR opportunity for this individual client, and the non-recurring revenue opportunity or project income that you might be able to get from this particular client. That is what drives this stack alignment report. That is across all of your clients. So this is what I showed on the slide at the beginning. In here, you can filter and say, all right, I want to see how aligned everyone is to my full stack, my standard services. I can even switch from MRR opportunity to alignment. So I can see across all my clients, they're about 75% aligned. You can see your healthier clients down to, they're not well aligned on my web filtering, but some of my clients have full alignment, which is perfect. I'm going to go back to MRR opportunity. You can also take a look, again, you could filter this. So if I wanted to filter by where all of the opportunities for my restaurants versus my dental offices, et cetera, to really give you insights into, driving the numbers for increasing stack alignment, as well as growth for your own company. So questions around stack alignment, how we get that data in there, or the way the opportunity reports show. All right, I'm going to hop back in. So here's where this is where I was with an existing client. Now I'm going to show you these last three pieces. Two of them will look very familiar if you're already a life cycler. So inside of customer success, we automatically pull over your contracts, agreements and additions, right, from Manage, or contracts from Autotask. And you can work, so this is the exact same screen that's in the other side of the house. We just don't make you jump back and forth between them. So if you want to add new contracts here or make sure you're importing contracts, you can do this over here. You can also see which ones are excluded from the customer success MRR. So that's part of the setup at the beginning, but we just want to give you that view right out of the gate. And it's nice as an account manager to be able to say, oh, they're Verizon, right? We're at their notice date. So if we want to have a chance of out-seating Verizon and maybe getting them on our VoIP system, we should get in touch with them right away. I'm going to jump to the last one, which is engagement and Qbrs. And this also pulls from the from the VCIO side of the house. So it links directly into the business meeting. So if you need to pull up a meeting from there, you can. So it'll grab, you'll just land right exactly where you would expect to be back there. I want to go back into that customer detail. Oh, and I want to jump to goals. So the last piece we wanted to talk about, right? We talked about, one, how to segment our customer base so we get a good view into how we want to set a cadence for all of our clients. Two, we wanted to talk about opportunity and stack alignment. And then three, and this is the big push, Alex and I talk with folks all of the time, and we have several recordings. So if you're interested to hear conversations of our partners on how they speak about business goals and how they're aligned to technology initiatives, we have quite a few that we'd be happy to share. But the point of this particular feature in the customer success module is to help you really define, okay, let's take a look at the business goals, right? Maybe their business goal is to expand to a neighboring county. If I drill into that, there might be specific tasks that you want to take care of to help with this initiative. Cloud migration, for one. You can also associate recommendations. So maybe I had a recommendation for, let's do that, network infrastructure upgrade, along with some contracts, right? So some existing pieces maybe they're the main phone system for their company. That contract is associated to this goal. The nice thing about associating all of your work to their business goals is they're seeing how you're helping them march toward their own objectives, right? You are helping their business drive better business outcomes. It's not just a list of things we wanted you to buy. It is how we are helping you drive your own business outcomes. So this is a really important part, and we are hearing more and more folks ask those open-ended questions at the beginning of a business review process on what are 3 wish list things that you want technology to do for you? What are your business goals, right? What are things that what direction is your business heading? How can we, and then as the VCIO, as the MSP owner or account manager, you can think about how to help with technology initiatives to drive those goals. So those are most of the bells and half of the whistles, at least, in the customer success module. So Alex, if you want to